The Old Ones, in all of their knowledge and wisdom, left this forsaken planet millennia ago when chaos began its unstoppable advance onto the material plane. But they made their mark with the awe-inspiring technology and architecture they left behind. The Gates of the Old Ones, a portal into another dimension, and a construct which the races of the New World covet for the power that it holds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mini Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War, and I'm very excited today to show off this gorgeously designed map by Maruka. Without question, the best free-for-all map in Total War Warhammer 2, and maybe the best map overall as well. Naturally, inspired by the Fallen Gates quest battle from the base game, there is a massive amount of tactical variety here, and an incredible playing space for those of you who like playing or watching epic battles unfold, which should be every single one of you. So strap in, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a good time. From the east march the Dark Elves, led by a death hag on an altar of Cain, spilling the lifeblood of countless sacrifices onto the age-old stone, and Malekith the Witch King, atop his black dragon Seraphon, looking to breathe some noxious fumes onto the enemies that will conglomerate in the center of the city. And Blackguard Corsairs, Harganeth Executioners, and Blackguard will soon be following it up. Skaven artillery has already begun opening fire as we shift over and look at the deployment for the Thagaraki, Clan Rat meat shields in the front, and a Doom Wheel which could be absolutely devastating in the confined spaces of the plaza in the center. Warlock Engineer, flanked by 2 Poison Wind Globadiers. I'll probably make a separate replay about this little tactic, but Howling Warp Gale and Poison Wind Globadiers are literally the best options the Skaven have against big flying threats like dragons and griffins. Ready to defend the Warp Gates from the trespass of their enemies are the Lizardmen, with a Skink Priest on an Ancient Stegodon, flanked by Temple Guard and 2 Bastiladons with the Revivification Crystals. And of course, this battle would not quite have enough meme power if not for Krotgar and Grimlock. They're on the field, 2 iconic characters who made the Fallen Gates famous in the first place, backing up a bunch of Saurus Warriors. And as we shift over, White Lions, High Elf Spearmen, Phoenix Guard, and a bunch of Lothern Sea Guard for Bloody Hound, who will be controlling the Azure for this one. Illyrian Reavers out on the right flank. Maruka is playing the Lizardmen, Commissar Steel is playing the Dark Elves, and I am playing as the Skaven. So those are the deployments and the players. Let's get it poppin' like Orville Redenbacher. So the Dark Elves clearly want control of the central plaza, which makes sense because the early build of this map actually had a capture point that you could control, which would let you shoot solar engine towers outwards at any army not in the middle. Unfortunately, that caused crashes and couldn't make it into the final build, but in their haste, they have made a terrible mistake, which is to blob up and present the juiciest target ever for this Skaven artillery, and the Plague Claw catapults right now are just licking their lips in anticipation, looking at this Dark Elf blob right at the edge of the crevasse, that gigantic plummet into nothingness, into oblivion, and they're getting destroyed by that Skaven artillery, getting demolished on their way in. And that was actually intentional. You can see I had my Warp Lightning Cannon set up to immediately get shots at the Lizardmen and all their big dinosaurs, while I had the catapult set up to shoot at the expensive Dark Elf infantry. Ancient Stegodon and Lord of Heaven's King Priest did take some damage on the way in, but that might only serve to enrage the beast as it lines up for a big Triceratops charge into the middle of the Blackguard Corsairs and towards that Altar of Cain. Looks like it's lining up for the charge now. I don't envy the position the Dark Elves have put themselves in. Their whole army's bunched up and in the plaza, surrounded by every other player. We get a huge charge from the Triceratops, stomping through the line. It is so incredibly satisfying. But Murderous Prowess is going to proc early this game, which might give them a leg up in the melee fight against the Lizardmen, who have not committed all their forces towards the plaza. They do have some fighting Tyrion over on the other flank, which we'll show off in a second here. But Plague Claw is getting some good shots into the Harganeth Executioners, doing some decent damage from range to them. Altar of Cain should keep them buffed up, and they are being very smart using the pyramid to shield themselves from the catapults, but Warp Lightning Cannons did connect with Malekith and Seraphon, getting some good shots in on him. And their job this game, the Warp Lightning Cannons, is literally just to snipe down any big monster that they see. That's going to include Seraphon, that will include the Skink Priest, the Bastiladons, or Krotgar, if any of them head that way. Now Tyrion, in the center of the engagement, in the middle of the Saurus Warriors, laying about with Sunfang, backed up by the Azure Spearmen and some Lothern Sea Guard. Should be an interesting fight. Krotgar and Grimlock are stomping around the engagement as well. And Big Chillwind actually did some decent damage to the Phoenix Guard, who don't have a ward save. Remember, they only have physical resistance, so that's going to not protect them too much against magic, as Chain Lightning rips through the Blackguard Corsairs and Harganeth Executioners. Doom Wheel on the way as well. A couple of the Plague Monks made it into melee, and that Chain Lightning was really well cast from the Lore of Heaven Skink Priest, doing a lot of damage to both the Skaven and to the Dark Elves. And yeah, the right flank for the Druki right now is going to be under assault from the Doomwheel and the Rat Ogre Goon Squad. Temple Guard looking to engage the Skaven. Catapults opening up fire into them. They're a little bit bunched up, so those first shots will get some good shots in and imbue that -10 leadership penalty. But Malekith should have no problem dealing with these Rat Ogres for the moment. Doing a good job of making sure they don't get a rear charge into the back, and the Pyramid is getting some good blocks on the catapult. So again, that's what the Dark Elves were going for, using that to protect themselves at least a little bit from the catapult fire coming in. Blackguard have already routed one of the Bastiladons, who should not have been engaging against Murderous Prowess Halberd infantry with a ton of armor piercing. It's Bedlam, man. Absolute chaos going on right now. And the beauty of it is that each player has a very different strategy. Skaven are sitting back except for the high mobility stuff, just plucking away with the artillery. Lizardmen are fighting 2 players simultaneously. High Elves are being very defensive, and Dark Elves were very aggressive with that push into the center as another Chain Lightning going off. And this time, that can be the problem with Vortexes, man. Ripping up their own Temple Guard, at least like 2,000, 3,000 damage to their own very expensive infantry. But that might actually deny the Dark Elves some points there, so maybe that's not the worst thing ever. I'm not actually sure how friendly fire works in free-for-all. That'd be an interesting test. But the Doom Wheel's kind of bugging out right now, not really sure what it's doing, maybe malfunctioning a bit, as Skaven equipment is wont to do. Malfunctioning is not a very uncommon thing with the Clan Scryer technology. But we can see over on this side of the battlefield, Tyrion has taken a bit of damage, but Krogar and Tyrion are both kind of ignoring each other as they beat the crap out of each other's armies. High Elf Spears getting sent flying into the air. They'll be able to do okay against Krogar, but I imagine they'll have a very hard time locking him down. And now he's looking for that duel. We'll check in back on that in a little bit as the archers on the bridge fire and try to support from range. And Bloody Hound is making his move from the east. Lothern Seaguard moving up the bridge the Dark Elves originally approached from. Temple Guard assault has mostly been stopped, although there are a few left. And a lot of the dinosaurs and Lizardmen are routing. So Skaven are in 3rd place. Commissar Steel and the Dark Elves are in last place. And right now Maruka has a pretty sizable advantage as the Lothern Seaguard are being torn apart by that artillery. You cannot let 2 Plague Claw catapults fire for this long unhindered. You have to send something that way, or the artillery is just going to rack up so many kills, and that is what they are doing right now. The bridges just make for fantastic choke points for those artillery to eviscerate as infantry blobs try to move across it. And the Ancient Stegodon with the Lore of Heaven Spellcaster and the Bastiladon trying to run away, backed up by some Temple Guard. They are routing, wavering actually, haven't routed just yet, but with all that bonus for large Warp Lightning Cannon fire coming in, not looking good for them, not at all. Yeah, the Bastiladon with the Revivification Crystal won't be able to heal them either because it's routing. Might have already shattered actually, and yeah, they're getting torn apart by the Warp Lightning fire, which is exactly what they're designed to do. Murder big targets, and finally, Bastiladon goes down. So pretty sizable amount of points for the Skaven there, I would imagine. And Clan Scryer machinery is proving pretty decisive here, preventing Lizardmen from rallying as Temple Guard take... What just happened? Oh my god, that is the best thing I've ever seen on Total War. Shades of Emperor Palpatine plummeting towards the center of the Death Star. I will name him Sheev. Rest in peace, Sheev, the Temple Guard. Press F to pay respects for brave Sheev, who took one for the team there. That was... Oh my god, that was the best thing I've ever seen on Total War. That was incredible. He literally just went falling like 4,000 feet to his doom as the Phoenix Guard and Blackguard and Nagaron duel it out. And we shift over and take a look at the Skaven lines and the artillery that made it all happen. Oh my god, that was... that was amazing. Anyway, let's get back on track. So our Warlock Engineer is pulling away, and that is a Warp Lightning being summoned. Big green lightning shooting down from the sky and basically missing the Temple Guard there. I don't actually think it killed a model. Maybe got 1 or 2 at the very edge of it. Not sure there. But the Skaven are retreating from away from the Temple Guard, as they should. Don't really want to engage them in melee. They're very angry at this point. And Tyrion still fighting exactly where he's been fighting the entire game. He's up to like 70, 80 kills or so. He's been in the front lines, smacking people around, or Lizardmen around rather, cutting dinos in half, cutting reptiles into little itty bitty pieces, and he's racked up quite a bit of kills. Now the Temple Guard that did manage to make it through the Storm Vermin lines have now... Their attack is basically all spent at this point. They're all dead. Poison Wing Globadiers getting some good shots in, and with the very minimal amount of HP they have left, they will fall in a cloud of noxious fumes and die. So they're shattered, and the Lizardmen Assault is basically stopped. So Maruka is out of the game now, but he does have a decent lead. High Elves and the Skaven are going to be fighting for supremacy for the rest of the battle here. Skaven and High Elves both have actually played pretty defensively in this one. Bloody Hound didn't really commit very much to the center. He did send some Phoenix Guard up there, but he did do some fighting with Lizardmen early on the left flank where Tyrion led the charge. Phoenix Guard have routed, and they actually didn't make a very big impact on the game. Only around 25 to 40 kills apiece, so they didn't do fantastic, and I'm not 100% sure why. I think they might have fought the Black Guard while Murderous Prowess was active, and even for Phoenix Guard, it's going to be a very tough matchup because that's a big buff. Malekith is still alive, though, on top of Seraphon. They have taken some damage from the Warp Lightning Cannons, but they have, for the most part, used the Pyramid pretty well to mitigate some of the damage coming in. Another Chill Wind going off, and might have actually sent a few more over the edge, not 100% sure. So the Azurus Pyramid did take some damage there nonetheless. And the Bolt Thrower crews are firing into the Rat Ogres, who are beginning their Death Ball Assault with the Doom Wheel in the vanguard. So the Bonebreaker and the Rat Ogres and the Doom Wheel have made it all the way around the edge of the map, as we saw Rat Ogre take a shot, a piercing bolt through the chest there, falling into the sand. And they will look to engage the High Elves, it looks like, but I'm not sure they're going to want to deal with the Lothern Sea Guard just yet with their bonus first large, as the Doom Wheel got a couple... No, man! Poor Illyrian Reaver and his horse going down to the Warp Lightning, getting shot out at random directions. And some more Bolt Thrower shots coming in, doing some damage to the Illyrian Reavers, who are running away. Remember, the Warp Lightning Cannon does cause terror and will make it into the Bolt Thrower crew, so that should be the end of the Eagle Claw as the Rat Ogres charge in and plummet from the top of Hell in a Cell 16 feet through an announcer's table, WWE style. I love watching them fight. Rat Ogres and the Bonebreaker especially. So much fun to watch them go to work. I think I might have just called that Doom Wheel a Warp Lightning Cannon. That's a Doom Wheel, not a Warp Lightning Cannon. Plague Claw Catapults firing in. And Tyrion and Malekith fighting for the rightful... Well, I would say fighting for the right to be Phoenix King, but Tyrion doesn't really care. He just wants to bang Ilaria all day. And Malekith is losing right now. His army's dead, so I don't think he's going to be Phoenix King anytime soon. Lothern Sea Guard chasing off the Rat Ogres, and that Goon Squad is going to be very problematic for the High Elves, but I don't think they want to deal with Lothern Sea Guard for the moment. Warp Lightning Cannons have moved to the edge of the bridge now, have kind of worked their way around slowly the circumference of the Old One's gates, and now they're opening fire into the Phoenix Guard. Those Hargonath Executioners have no idea what they want to do. I think they've been trying to rout for the last 5 or 10 minutes and have been unable to do so because anytime they run anywhere, there's an enemy waiting for them on the bridge, and they're just like, I can't run anywhere, so I'm just going to run in a circle and hope that one day I don't die miserably. But right now, it's not looking too good for them. I think the Dark Elves are probably going to take it pretty soon here. And the Goon Squad's coming back now. Black Ark Corsairs and the remnants of the artillery crew fighting it out. Rat Ogre is getting a good charge. Doom Wheel in there as well, and everything will get terrified. So it's not so much about the Dark Elves or the Lizardmen now, because they're both out of contention. I think Malekith might have even died by this point. I'm not seeing him at the moment. Warp Lightning Cannon will miss Lothern Sea Guard, and Tyrion has led the charge down from the plaza, and as a big Plague Claw Catapult does some decent friendly fire damage in a very Skaven-esque way. This will be a good fight here. Tyrion should help anchor the line, but there's not a lot left for the High Elves. Will be a fight between the two. Only 2 remaining armies. There's a lot of the Skaven army left, but both the High Elves and Lizardmen are well above the Skaven at this point. And the Skaven are clearly going to get that 2,500 point bonus for winning the game because there's not enough High Elf stuff left. But that's not what matters, right? Being last man standing, you get the 2,500 points, but that does not equal a win because the High Elves can still get points here, and there are a lot of points on the field to get as Sunfang rips through some Plague Monks and through a bunch of Stormvermin or Clan Rats. And yeah, like, if they manage to do a decent amount of damage to what's left of the Skaven, they could easily take this game. So it's not going to be about who wins or who's the last man standing, because remember, Skaven have kind of sat back for a lot of this game using that artillery. It's going to be all about who can do the damage here at the end and get the win that way. The 2,500 points is important. That's all but locked up for the Skaven, but the High Elves could easily get more than that in melee. So it's going to be very interesting here. And remember, Lizardmen are still way above everybody else, so they could still easily win as well. Warlock Engineer in the fight. Tyrion is dueling with him for the moment. Storm Vermin getting into melee. If they had a Dwellers Below or something from that Lore of Life mage for the High Elves, could change things, but I don't actually know. Does Dwellers Below count as kills? Remember, it's one of the dumb things about free-for-all and Magic in general that really needs to get changed. Some of the spells don't count as kills, and therefore don't count as points, which is a very bad mechanic that definitely needs to get reworked as soon as possible. But I don't know if she has any damaging spells, or maybe she's completely out of Winds of Magic. I haven't seen any Lore of Life spells go off this game. Storm Vermin pulling back, probably to avoid some of the friendly fire coming in from the Plague Claw catapults, but I don't imagine they have much left in terms of ammunition. The Warlock Engineer is dueling Tyrion, which is really not where it wants to be, right? It's more of a caster support lord than it is a melee hero rather, not a lord. Lothar and Seaguard are anchoring the back lines, making sure that this Rat Ogre blob and the Doom Wheels can't charge in, but the Plague Claw does have a bit of ammunition left, getting some good shots in, and tearing to the center of that formation. And I love watching the High Elves, Lothar and Seaguard and the Azure Spearmen specifically, interlock their shields and then drop the spears over the top of it. It looks so badass as the Poison Wind Globadiers get their shots in. And normally probably wouldn't do an amazing amount of damage, but they're getting a lot of kills right now because the Plague Claw catapults already softened them up a bit, and their HP on each model was already looking a little bit suspect. I cannot believe there's still ammo left on those Plague Claws. This is a good lesson for all of you, as the Doom Wheel gets a nasty shot through the middle of the formation as well. You have to do something to shut down Skaven artillery, or it's going to make you sad. High Elves just took the lead. They are in the lead now, so Lizardmen cannot win, and it will be down to the Skaven and the High Elves as Lothar and Seaguard charge forward, try to get into melee with the Poison Wind Globadiers. More Plague Claw catapult shots coming in. Doom Wheel about to get a rear charge into the back of Lothar and Seaguard. Goon squads wrapping up every single Hargoneth, Executioner, Blackguard, and Crossbow that's trying to run. But they were already shattered, so they won't give any points. And as the Doom Wheel comes in from behind, Terror Rout, Lothar and Seaguard running for the hills, and that should be your game pretty much, as the Doom Wheel, the gigantic angry hamster wheel, rolls over them all, and heroic victory for the Skaven. Managed to pull it out there just at the end, which seems to be something that I do a decent amount of in free-for-all. If you guys watched that live event over in New York, a lot of the time that I played those games, I was way behind for most of it, and then came back and was the last man standing, which is important in free-for-all. That 2,500 points does help a lot, and in this case, it gave me that boost just to get over the hump and take the win with about 1,500 points to spare, which is very close for free-for-all. So that could have easily gone for the Skaven, Lizardmen, or High Elves, which is a few changes here and there. But really fun battle. Incredibly designed map by Maruka. Definitely go check that out. It'll be in the pinned comment and in the description. Fantastic. He's one of the best map creators in the entire community. You gotta go check out his stuff. And the same goes for Bloody Hound as well. I believe they're both part of the GCCM map mod team, and they have their own Patreon, so if you want to go support their stuff, I definitely recommend you do so. Maruka got 318 kills on his Skink Priest, Krotgar with 91. Looking at Tyrion stuff, he did quite a bit of work with Sunfang, got some really good casts off with that. And Commissar Steel, he was super aggressive, which I love seeing in free-for-all. That map did not benefit him whatsoever because he basically just YOLO'd into the middle, and that meant he got blown up by artillery, which is pretty much what won me the game. If anyone had committed stuff to trying to shut down my artillery, could have been a different game. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.